doing? I have some new movies here. Well, not new movies, but I have a mini movie review video for you coming. And for you right now, I'm very excited about this one. I actually have some movies that I have some hot takes for, some interesting feelings on, and some movies that were steelbooks that I just didn't watch. So I guess we should start with the first one I watched, which is Wonder. I mainly rewatched this not necessarily because I really wanted to watch this movie, more so that I wanted a feel good movie, and this is a feel good movie, and I hadn't watched it since I bought it because I really just bought it because the steelbook is cool because it is a really cool steelbook, and I will say this is a Target exclusive steelbook. Let me show you it here. So you got him with the helmet, and if you know the movie, you know the significance of the helmet. You open it up, that's really cool slip. Then you get him with the helmet opened up on the back with his mom saying you're such a wonder. And then you actually have the disc, which has some really cool artwork because this is the same Blu-ray that came out before. They just changed the artwork, which I appreciate because they really didn't have to do that, but they did. And then you get the him jumping with the helmet, and then you get his little dog. And again, if you know the movie, you know the significance of his dog, or if you know the book even. And yeah, this steelbook's really nice. So I would say if you still want this, every Target has to have been to has a ton of copies of this steelbook. It's a great looking steelbook. I just don't think it's really a movie that when I think of movies that should have collector's editions, this isn't the one that comes to mind, but I appreciate that it exists because I actually love this steelbook. It's a steelbook that when I bought, it was kind of like on, and then the more that I've actually just sat and looked at it and taken off the slip and stuff, the more I've just been like, yes, this steelbook's amazing and I love having it. And yeah, as for the movie itself, when this came out, I saw the trailers for it. I thought it looked awful. And here's the thing, I was a fan of this book, and that doesn't usually happen with me in movies. Usually I'm not a fan of a book before I watch the movie. It's usually the other way around. I'm a fan of a movie, then I check out a book. And I know some people say that's bullshit, you shouldn't do that, but I don't really give a shit. But I went to this movie and I really didn't enjoy it when it first came out because it was too similar to the book, and I do believe that's still an issue with this movie. It's like not its own movie, it is just the book. Almost scenes adapted straight, like word for word. And that's really irritating to me. To me, I feel like this should be an adaptation, but I think the more I've seen it, I've just grown to appreciate it. And I do really like the movie now. Just back when it came out, it was just, I don't know. I guess I just went in wanting to not really suck myself into it because again, I never thought this movie was gonna be good. Movies like this just aren't good. Adaptations of really good books like this just aren't good. I do think it has a little bit of issues of like the parents are unrealistic in this movie. Like I really always enjoyed the daughter side of the story in the movie and in the book because she's a realistic character. I can see her circumstances on the situation and her understanding things, right? I never understand the parents. Like they don't act like realistic parents. They act like idealized version of parents. Like what we want our parents to be, but they're not that in real life. And it's weird because a lot of this book and movie are very much praised for their realism on the portrayal of characters, and that's the thing. I think that's true. It does a really good job at portraying characters very realistically, but I do not think that with the parents. That always bugs me, but it's still a very enjoyable movie. The book is better, and you should read it, as usually it is. Books are sometimes better than movies, but again, I appreciate a movie a lot more than a book, but yeah, I'm glad I finally revisited that because I think I've grown less of a negative spot towards that one. Then I rewatched Cloverfield because I'd never seen it in 4K. I've had this 4K copy for 3 years now, and I've never watched it, and I finally watched it, and it's okay. I used to think this was a pretty good movie. I no longer think that. I think this movie is just okay because This movie very much suffers from the idea of why are they filming? That's a problem with most found footage movies, I think, where you're just sitting there like, why are these people filming? They just keep filming and they keep filming and keep filming, and at a certain point you should just run or put down the camera or just stop filming. I just always bugs me in these movies. There's a few ones where it really works, like Chronicle and stuff, but Cloverfield's not one of them. Also, this movie is very much Matt Reeves and J.J. Abrams is direct, like kind of homage to Godzilla type movies, and as that, I think it's okay. But this is not a Godzilla movie. It's not as good as like the old Japanese like original Godzilla movie. This is an entertaining, fun movie. I do think this movie kind of suffers from not having a score. Really makes the movie feel weird to me. And then the musical piece at the end of this movie that plays in the credits, it's actually phenomenal, and I like listening to that, but it's not in the movie for some reason. It's just weird. It's an enjoyable movie. I just don't think it's as good as some people say it is. Then my favorite movie in the franchise, 10 Cloverfield Lane, I have rewatched as well. Because again, I've never seen this in 4K. And I've never seen my copy of the Cloverfield Paradox as well, but I'm going to probably watch that tonight. This one is, I think, great. Now, the issue with this movie, everyone knows, is that the last 10 minutes is horrible. Because you watch this movie, and it's really not a Cloverfield movie. This movie is about this guy who kidnaps this woman who gets in a car accident. And they're in this bunker underground in this guy's house. And they're kind of just these two men and her are all in this house. And he's told her the air's toxic. Hey, I saved your life. You know, so she feels like she's trapped here. And she really starts to realize, hey, this John Goodman guy, not a very good guy. I need to get out of here. And that's kind of the movie. That's a really good suspense thriller movie that has interesting twists and turns to it. But then when you get to the end, it becomes a Cloverfield movie. And that's where the movie gets really shitty. It just, movies like this really demand a really good twist and turn to it that makes the narrative make sense and enhances it. That's not this movie. This movie actually is broken by its twist. Now, people say you can always shut it off the last 10 minutes. My issue with that is I'm just too curious and I want to know what happens. And that's kind of the whole point of these types of movies. Is you want to know what happens, but those 10 minutes ruin it. So, I don't know. Very hard to recommend movie if you ask me. Because those type of movies so much depend on their twists and turns. Little Mermaid on 4K. This is another one I haven't seen in a long time, and I just rewatched it because I have a lot of movies on 4K that I've been rewatching because I'll be honest. I caught COVID. My whole family had it, and I have not been trying to go out as much as I normally would. And so I've spent a lot of time just watching movies that I've bought on 4K, didn't watch, or Blu-rays, So these movies that I've had stockpiled here for months, I'm just like watching them for the first time since I bought them. And it's just like, it's finally time. So I sat down and watched this one. I think it looked okay in 4K. I don't think Disney animated movies, to be honest, benefit very well from 4K. I don't really see the point of these. But I get this $2 sealed at a Goodwill. And I actually enjoyed this more on a rewatch than I've ever really enjoyed this movie, because I've never been crazy about this movie. It's okay. It was enjoyable. It was fun. I love the music. I really can't get past the fact that she's 16 in this movie. It makes the whole story so creepy to me. Right? You got this mermaid who, I know people, Shea Fearless Productions, great channel on YouTube. He has a great talking point about this movie where he says, a lot of people want to say that shit about Ariel where, oh, she's just like, oh, she just runs off with this dude. And that's not necessarily true because it was already shown early in the movie that she already had fascination with humans before that. So, yeah, it is like I get that, but my issue is like most of this movie is Ariel being obsessed with this dude and she's 16. And that's just weird. That's just weird. At the end of this movie, she's marrying this dude. You know, the part where she's naked after she becomes a mermaid. I know you don't see any private parts or any of that stuff, but it's like she's when it's like in the context that that's an adult, fine. The context that this is a child is very, very weird to me, and I just don't like that. And I know a lot of that comes from the fact that a lot of these older Disney movies are based on fairy tales that are very old. Like this is based on an old Hans Christian Andersen novel, whatever. And my argument to that is like, I don't care when the novel was written because this movie came out in 1989. You should have updated it and made changes where it was necessary. And I think that's one of the places it was necessary. But unfortunately, they didn't make those changes. And I feel like as a result, the movie just comes a little off to me. But that's just a personal gripe. I don't think a lot of people have that issue. But still, very nice looking movie. 4K did enhance it somewhat, just not enough to where I think that if you had to go 4K, it definitely improves things, but if you don't have to, just don't even bother, to be honest. Then I watched Wayne's World because I just got this steelbook in the mail yesterday, did a little unboxing talking about this movie, and I rewatched it, and it remains a fun comedy movie with two really great characters, a lot of great quotes, and funny moments. Not too much to say about it. That's really all I have to say about it. It's a fun, enjoyable comedy movie with a lot of great scenes and moments that I really enjoyed. And I will be rewatching this more times to come in the future. Because who doesn't love Wayne's World? And then, I still watch my copy of Wayne's World 2, which I've never seen. But I'll probably be watching that, and you'll hear about that in the next video. But that's been this episode of mini reviews. Just kind of like talking about some of the movies that just been piling up that I can't make a full video on because I just don't have enough to say about them. But yeah, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.